This short video will introduce you to our technology partnership with Passivent, which will let you model their natural and hybrid ventilation products within the iesve. A VE Navigator guides us through the process, from importing the products into our model, configuring their operation, preparing and applying them to rooms, performing a thermal simulation and a compliance analysis if needed. The Vista Pro Comfort Analysis tool in the VE can be used for assessing BB101, CIBSE TM52, ISO 7730, and ASHRAE 55. The Passivent Airscoop is a range of roof-mounted natural ventilation terminals which provide top-down or displacement ventilation to large buildings and deep planned spaces. To start, we go to the Navigators tab and open the section Partners, where we can then select Passivent Roof Terminals. This opens up the Navigator, which takes us through a streamlined step-by-step process. As we work, we can leave notes for our colleagues or for later QA checks and tick off each step as we complete it. When we start, there is a question mark button that takes us directly to the Passivent webpage with more information on their different products. There is also a quick link to our online user guide. The first step is to prepare the building model. We're reminded that we need to have a fully defined VE model to start. This should include valid geometry representing the building, valid data already assigned to all spaces. For example, heating and cooling set points, Apache systems, internal gains, air exchangers, and macro flow openings. There is also a reminder to back up your model at this point, either by clicking on the instruction to archive project or by using the File Archive menu for the current project. We recommend that this is saved as a baseline before working through the Navigator. Adding the Passivent roof terminals to your model will then make direct modifications to the assigned data. The next step is to import and configure the Passivent products. As we select a product, we can view the summary information with a link to the full product data sheet online, or we can see the model geometry preview of the product. Select the product that you're using and click on the button to import it. An alert will inform you that the data has been successfully imported into your project. It's important to note that these components are not yet placed within our model. They're just imported, ready for assignment at this point. This step not only imports the selected Passivent Roof Terminals unit, it also imports some data, such as the Apache room templates, the Apache constructions, the macroflow types, and the Apache profiles. Now we can copy and make variants as necessary. This opens the Component Modeler view, where we can create, copy, and delete components by using the icons at the top of the model browser. If we right-click on one of the Passivent components and select the Properties option, this opens the Component Properties window, where the Properties tab allows you to edit the component name and see if the component is in use in the model. The Information tab is another point of access to the product data sheet. Once we are happy that we have the correct Passivent products imported into our project, we can move on to the next step to finish preparing our model before we insert these units into our geometry. The next step takes us through the process to update our model for BB101 compliance, which prepares the model data for this standard. Working through each step, we need to assign the correct CIBSE DSY weather file for this location. Remember that this is the simulation weather file, and then save the change before closing the window. We also set the correct background CO2 levels as part of the site data. This is important to ensure a baseline for your design that is in line with the BB 101 standard. We create room grouping so that it's quicker to assign data later. Then we assign the target rooms into the active room group. Next, we need to edit the prototype templates as required, and then apply the prototype data changes to the active room group. We've now reached the step where we insert the Passivent roof ventilation terminals into our geometry. Note the first instruction here. We need to select a single space in our model that the ventilator will attach to. We use the down arrow to move down a level, switch to the component view, and this opens a dialog that lets us place the component. Choose the correct component from the drop-down at the top, and then revise the duct length to suit the placement of the ventilation terminal. We need to be in a 2D viewing mode, such as plan mode, to place the component. We move our cursor to wherever we want to place the Passivent terminal, and then left-click to put it there. A message may appear that warns that the component is not above. This means that the component is not positioned correctly vertically because we only located it in the plan view. We can press OK and close the dialog. Now we change the viewing mode to the front or right or left view. We can see that the component is at the wrong level, so we need to move it. At this point, remember that we cannot see the roof space or ceiling plenum above, but we do need to allow for it. This depth is based on the construction that we have assigned to this surface. We select the ventilator component and move it with the usual geometry editing options. Make sure that the locks are set appropriately for model endpoint, grid lock, etc. Then click on the Move Selection Set tool and align it so that the bottom of the terminal just overlaps into the room. Note that if we had picked an elevation view instead, we could have aligned the duct correctly with the top of the space, but we would then need to switch to plan view to ensure that the placement was correct within the room. Now we can tick the step Assign Roof Terminals to Room, check Placement, because we've checked the position of the Passivent terminal in the selected room in all planes. Then we double-check that we had adjusted the duct length to connect to the top of the target room. Note that if you've inserted more than one instance of the same unit, they will all be listed in the bottom of the Place Component dialog. We cannot select them here and retrospectively adjust the duct length. We have to do this before placing the component. Now we reach the step that requires us to click on the button to finalize component. This will fix the Passivent terminal component into our model geometry, which is a change that we cannot undo. If we switch views, we can see that target surfaces and any surfaces in spaces through which the component passes are split in two. This ensures that island surfaces are not created. Now we can tick off the option to indicate that we have finalized the roof terminals. Once we've assigned and finalized the Passivent roof terminals to rooms in our model, the model should be ready to simulate. We can choose to manually run Suncast in the next step for solar pre-simulation by using this link to run the simulation. Next, we need to perform a thermal simulation. Again, we click on the link to simulate the system. For this simulation, we should tick the option to enable the Suncast link, and it will be run automatically if we did not run it manually in the previous step. Tick the option to the MacroFlow link, but do not tick the links for HVAC link, radiance link, or natural ventilation air exchange. We double-check that we are using the correct DSY weather file from SIBC. Our simulation time step should be set to 10 minutes, and the reporting time step should also be set to 10 minutes. This is for BB 101. Now we can click on Simulate. On completion, we can click on the pop-up to view the results in the Results viewer. If it closes before we click on it, we can always use the View drop-down menu to open the Alert viewer and then select the View Results option. Or we can exit the Navigator and go directly to the Vista Pro application to look at the results. We can go back to the Navigator again at any point. We're now ready to undertake the analysis. Thank you for watching this video on how to insert Passivent roof terminals into the iesve model to use in simulations.